Hello there. Recently, I started singing again after a 5-year break. You see, a few years ago, I injured my vocal cords and then I stopped singing. I know I'm not the only one to take a break from singing. I'm definitely not the only one to injure my vocal cords. So I'm putting together this video to share with you what that journey has been like and detail how it's going. So it's been a few years now, but in my late 20s, I taught myself how to sing. It was just something I wanted to do. I hadn't done music for some time, and I thought, it'd be great. Great to learn how to sing, great to relate some music. And I spent, I think, 2 or 3 years really trying to figure out how to sing and get good at it. I got good enough that I wanted to release some music of my own and started figuring out what the lyrics were going to be, writing the melody, and was getting pretty close to recording it. Unfortunately, I pushed my voice too hard. And as I was pushing my voice, I injured it. It's my own fault, through and through. The vocal injury should never have happened. If I had just simply rested my voice and taken better care of it, I would have been fine and I would have been releasing music, presumably for the last 5 years. But what ended up happening instead is one day I was warming up before doing a practice. I was just singing some scales, and it felt like someone took a razor blade and just sliced across my vocal cord. I was feeling discomfort that day in my voice, nothing major. I ignored it, and then the vocal injury struck. So after the vocal injury, there wasn't much that I could do except rest my voice. And I stayed quiet as much as I possibly could. I was working a corporate job, so silence wasn't an option, but I still tried to be as quiet as I possibly could be, and for the most part did succeed. And I stopped singing. I completely stopped singing. I don't know if I sang at all for 2 years. So I just needed the break. And over time, my voice did heal. One day, after a couple of years, I decided to try to sing along to a song I was listening to, and it went okay. And by the time I got to the 3rd year mark, noted that, yeah, my voice felt pretty much like it was okay. It felt like it was back to normal again, which maybe it healed up before that, but that was the first time I really noticed it. Did I start singing again immediately? No, absolutely not. Very rarely, I would sing along to other songs for a relatively brief period of time, but that was it. No serious vocal practice, no drilling it, nothing. And I'll be honest, I was just scared. I was simply just scared of hurting my voice again. When you hurt your voice and you can't really speak for some time, it's very isolating and very lonely. I didn't want to go through that again. And my voice just felt, I don't know, it felt frail. It felt like this thing that could easily be taken away from me if I overused it again. And, I'd put in all this effort to learn how to sing and then hurt my voice and spent quite some time not singing at all. And did I really want to go through that again? So I did stop singing, and it was pretty much entirely just fear-based. But recently I started singing regularly again. See, I laid out this little challenge for myself to create a hit song. That means doing the songwriting, producing it, and then also singing on it. So I had to get my vocal chops up, and when I made this challenge for myself, I really didn't know if my voice could hold up to it. I just decided to dive back into singing again and see how it went. If I could sing twice a week, I'd sing twice a week. If I could sing 5 times a week, I'd sing 5. And if I could sing once every other week, then that's what I was going to do. But I was going to explore the limits of where my voice could go post vocal injury and after having taken so much time off. And I'm pretty pleased to say that so far, the story is a pretty happy one. Things have been going quite well. Here's what I've noticed since I started singing again. I said it's going well, but it's also been pretty frustrating. And the main reason why it's been frustrating is because I've lost the vast majority of my vocal control. So all the things that maybe I used to take for granted, that singers take for granted, being able to do slight adjustments in pitch. Nope, can't do it. Being able to quickly move up and down throughout notes. No, can't do it. And it's improving. Don't get me wrong. All of this is improving, but it feels like an unused muscle, and I guess that literally may be the case, that is finally starting to be used again. My ability to hear pitch has been absolutely decimated just through lack of practice. So not only do I have a less of an ability to fine tune a note to make sure that it's in key, that it's in pitch, that the pitch is appropriate, I also have a hard time hearing it. Again, this is improving, but it's a setback. Now, the biggest one that caught me off guard was overusing my voice. And I came into this a little bit scared, but with the goal of singing for 20 minutes to half an hour, 5 days a week. And I'd see how it went. And for the first week, pretty doable, but my voice was getting tired. In fact, by the time I got through 10 minutes, my voice would be getting tired. And I guess it wasn't so much towards hoarseness as much as it was just towards muscular strain from using the sides of my throat again. But after a couple of weeks, I did run into some hoarseness after singing, and then I spoke with someone on the phone with a sound isolating Bluetooth headset for 2 or 3 hours of time. And by the time when that was done, speaking louder than I should have been, I started to get a little bit hoarse. And it was in that moment that I realized, hey, my voice does not have the endurance that it once did, not even close. Beyond the muscular fatigue from singing, it's also just not able to quite go for as long as it used to. It's been about 6 weeks, and I'm noticing that my voice is definitely more powerful, definitely more strong, but I'm still really struggling on things like control. It's coming. It's coming, but it's not there yet. One last thing that I want to say, another area that's been very weak has been vocal closure, and then specifically how that relates to high notes and then notes in the mixed voice. Singers have kind of a low voice, a high voice, and then there's kind of this in between, which is referred to as a mixed voice. And that mixed voice for me has been very weak, but dedicated practice in that zone has been bringing those notes back, and closure is something that just comes with a bit of practice. So as I guess maybe strengthen the muscles used to control the voice, closure became much more natural for me. And that's been good, because without vocal closure, you tend to sound very not great. So I've been trying to get back into singing in a pretty strategic and pretty careful way. And one of the decisions that I made early on was that I wouldn't be focusing on singing songs so much. Instead, I would put my time into vocal exercises rather than go through the frustration of struggling to hit notes at a certain range or struggling to get notes in pitch. I figured that I would just spend a few months predominantly focusing on vocal exercises so I can strengthen those weak points. And that so far, 6 weeks in, has been working very well. I've been maybe most pleased with that above all. I've also been pretty careful about not reaching for super high notes. I've come to realize that I really don't care about having a giant range at the moment. I'd rather have a more selective range that sounds very, very good than potentially strain my voice, which again may lead to further injury. I'd like to end this video with some advice for people who are looking at getting back into singing and maybe aren't sure what to expect. And before I give that advice, I do want to say one thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a specialist in how the throat works or how the vocal cords work. So if you're coming back from a place of injury, please talk to a professional. Okay, so advice. Part one is just purely psychological. I think it's important to be gentle with yourself. You know, it's frustrating to have a skill that you were once good at to no longer be good at it, but hey, that's part of the process, right? If there's anything in life that you've ever gotten good at, pretty much everything but riding a bike doesn't come back naturally. Be patient with yourself, be kind, life is short. Don't be your own worst enemy, All right, 2. I think habits are really important. If you want to be good at something, I think doing a little bit every day definitely beats trying to do a marathon, but once a month or once every other week or something like that. And for singing, well, how do we build that habit? Well, there's a physical limitation, right? We can only use our voice so much every single day. And once you overdo it, you got to take a break. And maybe that break is just a few hours, maybe that break is a few days, maybe that break is a week or more, right? So when trying to get back into singing, focus on establishing the habit. And that means less is more. 20 quality minutes seems to be way better than trying to do an hour twice a week, because you can focus on being more consistent with singing every day or more days. Now, I personally have had great success in the early days here, focusing on vocal exercises over trying to sing songs. So that's the third tip. I know it's very tempting to just dive into the repertoire and start singing songs that you love. Totally get it, totally understand. Scales are boring. But there is a purpose to doing vocal exercises, exercises on any instrument. There's a purpose to it. And especially when you're coming back, you're gonna have a lot of innate skill, and internalized skill, but your technical ability is going to suffer, especially at the beginning. And it's difficult to think of a way to more quickly build technical ability than with focused practice. And that's what all those warm ups and exercises force you to do. So I would encourage you, even though it kind of sucks, give them a go. They might work out really well for you. So if you're looking at getting back into singing and are watching this video just to see what my experience has been, well, I'd encourage you to give it a go. It's been great for me. Be prepared for a bit of a frustrating startup, perhaps. It takes time to rebuild that technical ability, but it comes. It does come back. I'm only partway through the journey, so I'm not exactly sure how long it will take, but I will say that within 6 weeks, I've noticed a massive improvement. And I hope that your improvement comes even quicker. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you have yourself a great day. Take care.